Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Make sure we are recording. I don't know why that's such a struggle for us.
Yeah, it is a struggle. All right. Welcome to another episode of Boom or Bust, the draft show. Max Chadwick alongside Tate, Sigworth, and Nick Merriam. So, college football is starting this weekend, week 0 of the college football season this weekend. So, we're going to do predictions for every level of football besides high school and Pop Warner, basically. So, you got, of course, draft predictions. We're going to do a mini mock draft, biggest riser, biggest faller, NFL predictions. Who's going to win the Super Bowl this year? We're a draft podcast, but we watch the NFL too. Who's won the Super Bowl? Who's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, other stuff like that. And of course, college football predictions too. So many predictions. It's going to be a really fun video. Of course, be sure to follow our Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Boom or Bust Draft on YouTube. Anywhere you get your podcast, please check out the merch store below as well. And of course, please support us because support for us is brought to you by this beautiful thing right there. That's right, Manscaped. So we're not doing fantasy football predictions today, but fantasy football draft season is upon us. It's time to put the PP back in PPR league with the sponsors of today's show, Manscaped, the leaders in below the waist grooming, just launched the Performance Package 4.0. Don't neglect your balls like the Packers front office has been neglecting Aaron Rodgers. Join the 2 million and they're taking shots right now.
Yeah, wow.
Taking shots in the
Corporate shots right now.
Join the 2,003 men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for kickoff by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the code BOOMERBUST. That is BOOMERBUST, all caps, no spaces. This will help you tame that Troy Polamalu, newly Hall of Famer Troy Polamalu, in your pants. Again, 20% off and free shipping with the code at BoomerBust at manscaped.com. If your significant other is nagging you about how much time you put into your fantasy team, you might as well give them some beautiful balls with Manscaped. Let's go to the predictions and to start off with the NFL draft because that is what we do here on Boomer Bust. The draft show is the draft. Start us off, Tate. We're doing a mini mock draft. So what this is going to be is who will be the 5 worst teams this year, and who will they take in the 2022 NFL Draft?
Okay, the worst team, I think, across the board, in our opinion, is the Houston Texans. They'll have the first overall pick, in my opinion, and they're going to go Spencer Rattler. I know it's Davis Mills season right now in Houston, but breaking news, Spencer Rattler is a better quarterback than Davis Mills. So yeah, Spencer Rattler first overall. Second, I tried to shake it up a little, not be too bland. This is, I guess, a fun video. Two, I got the Lions as the second worst team. Sorry, Peach. And then I'm going Kayvon Thibodeau. Tried to shake it up from the Sam Howell second overall. I know. Tried to be a little spicy. Maybe like Jared Goff is. They very well. If they really like Jared Goff, I'm not surprised if they stick with him. But that means if they're picking 2 overall, Jared Goff is bad. So maybe they take a quarterback here in reality. But again, just trying to be spicy. Third overall, I got the Eagles. I don't know. There's the Bengals and the Jets. Again, trying to be spicy. Just, see what would happen. And there I'm going to go Sam Howell because, again, if the Eagles are picking 3rd, that means Jalen Hurts is a bad quarterback, like Nick pointed out in our last mock. So I'm going Sam Howell here for the Eagles at 3. And then 4, I got the Bengals. A lot of the coverage about their, this past season's draft with Jamar Chase has been, maybe you should have taken Penei Sewell. So I'm going to go Evan Neal here. I'm going to shake it up. I'm going to give him an offensive tackle. Joe Burrow needs help. We said that this past spring. And they went wide receiver. I'm going offensive tackle this year. And then number 5, I got the Jets, and I'm going Derek Stingley because he's the best available player on the board, and they do need corner help. So, yeah, that's my mock draft.
All right. A little bit shock here as well. I kind of agree exactly with what Tate said to start out. I think the Texans are the worst team in football. I think they take Spencer Rattler. I think they go QB. They end up getting the number 1 pick there. He's, we'll talk about him probably later in this video. Lions, we're hearing some not great things. Is there a chance that 2 teams could go 0-17 this year? I think it's more likely than we actually think. It's possible. I think they should take a QB, but they might not, and I'm going to say right now that they will make the incorrect decision and go ahead and draft Kayvon Thibodeau, number 2 overall. and think that edge rusher is going to make them a much better team, and it will make it'll give them a boost, but probably won't improve their team drastically because they still have that question mark at quarterback. Jacksonville, I think, is primed to be a bit of a mess this year. That O-line is giving Trevor Lawrence some issues. I think they end up picking third, and I think they can't pass up on Derek Stingley. They obviously aren't going to take a QB with Trevor Lawrence, so Stingley ends up being the third pick. Fourth pick, a little bit out there maybe for some people. I think the Panthers are in for a rough one this year. I think Sam Darnold is just not the answer. I think the O-line is really, really poor. I like the receivers, and then the secondary and defensive line are interesting, but the D-line is marked by a lot of average to maybe above average players, and the secondary is very young with some aging veterans they could put in there that haven't really played all that well. So it's a question mark for me just about everywhere except for receiver, and I don't believe Sam Darnold can overcome it. So I think they play poorly, and they go ahead and they get the Carolina kid, Sam Howell. They bring him in with a fourth pick to be their future QB. And the Bengals, you talk about it. I love Joe Burrow. I really thought this was going to be a year where they had a shot to even contend for a wild card spot. But his knee thing, man, it's concerning. I've gone through not as bad of an injury, but an ACL injury, and there is a mental aspect of that injury that is really difficult to overcome. And it seems like he's having some trouble with it. Hopefully, some more O-line help will help him with that. So we'll give him Evan Neal at pick 5.
All right, so I try to shake it up a little bit because I feel like we all gonna have the same 5 teams. So I have the Texans at 1. No shake up there. They're terrible this year. Like, it's a garbage organization right now. Spencer Rattler, Deshaun Watson probably is done playing in Houston. Might be done playing football in general. We'll see. But yeah, they need a new quarterback regardless. So Spencer Rattler's the guy there. 2, again, like you guys, the Detroit Lions. I love the Kayvon Thibodeau to Detroit narrative because that's such a Dan Campbell pick, man. It was like, oh, we need to win in the trenches. Like, that's where we win. Get the Oregon left tackle in Penei Sewell and the Oregon edge rusher in Kayvon Thibodeau. I wouldn't be surprised by that, but I have Sam Howell here. I just think that the Jared Goff contract is – you're able to get out of it after 2 years. So you got Goff this year. Then next year you can have him start, and then Sam Howell can kind of take over midway through the season. Then Jared Goff can let him walk after that. So I got them taking Sam Howell. 3, Eagles. I agree with you guys. They're going to be bad this year. I haven't taken Derek Stingley Jr. Darius Slay's on the downswing. Avonte Maddox hasn't looked good. I like Zach McPherson, but you're not trusting him to be the number 1 corner on that team in the future. He was
even you, Max? Even you?
I love Zach McPherson, but man, Derek Stingley at 3, can't pass it up. 4, maybe the team that my least favorite team in the NFL, because they're going to ruin one of my favorite prospects ever, and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are a hideous mess right now. The coaching doesn't seem good. There's a report that came out today that Jaguars players hate Urban Meyer, even though the reasoning was kind of weird. It's like they didn't want to work that hard, but whatever. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence is going to run for his life in Jacksonville. They drafted Travis Etienne, who's now out for the season. You've got a good receiving core, but man, I just don't trust teams that have bad leadership. And I think the Jaguars have one of the worst leadership situations in the NFL. They're going to take Evan Neal. This isn't who I would take, but they're going to see what happens this year with Trevor Lawrence. They're going to go, wow, we need to protect him at all costs. And they're going to take Evan Neal at 4, I think. 5, this one's a little spicy. I'm going to get a lot of heat for this one. The Giants are picking 5th. No, not the Steelers. Giants are picking 5th, but not their pick. I think the Bears are going to have a rough one this year. I have the Bears.
I thought about them.
Giants pick. Yeah, listen, man, I'm taking Kayvon Thibodeau of the Giants. I think that just fits so well. They took Azeez Ojulari, but they can use more edge rushers. They have one of the toughest schedules in the league. The Bears do. The defensive depth. Everyone talks about the defense, man. They lost so much depth on that defense. You got a couple superstars there, and Khalil Mack and then Roquan Smith I kind of like too. But other than that, man, the depth isn't there on defense. The offensive line's a big issue. Tevin Jenkins is going to be out for a while. Justin Fields is going to need time, and we've seen that in the preseason right now. He needs a good O-line, and his mental processing is still a little slow. I trust him. I think he'll be great. But I also think Matt Nagy is going to start Andy Dalton for more than we think. In interviews, he said that he was the offensive coordinator when they started Alex Smith the whole year over Patrick Mahomes. And he said that worked out great. And that gives me the feeling, man, they might try to start this as much as he can. So this is the last year for Matt Nagy. He unfortunately won't see the fruits of his labor with Justin Fields. I think this is he'll be fired after the season just because it's going to be a rough year for the Bears. So I have the Giants picking 5th from the Bears pick. So let's go to the biggest riser section of this draft video. So, Nick, who will rise up draft boards the most this year?
This is an old reference that we brought up in a couple of older videos because we thought he was going to enter the draft last year. But my favorite 6'9", 380-pound tackle, Daniel Falele, he's not 400 pounds apparently. That was a bit of an overestimation. Is gaining some steam here as the year is about to start. A right tackle who hasn't put out a lot of film, but obviously the ability to move, the size is very, very intriguing. And he did put some good games on tape in his 1 year as a starter so far there in the Big Ten against some good edge rushers. So I think he has the opportunity with that natural athleticism to be a very, very highly sought after tackle prospect. And I think when all things are said and done, he's at least a second round pick. I could see him sneaking into the first.
I mean, I think the real answer is going to be somebody like outside of left field, like outside of the top 50 right now. At least, my top 50 big board is probably the correct answer. But some guys I'm really super excited about, Anais Smith, Texas A&M wide receiver, running back weapon, line him up wherever. And then also Adam Anderson, Georgia. Has barely played in college, but holy cow, when you watch that tape, if he comes out this year and just like does what he's done in past, but like in a bigger scale and a bigger sample size, oh man, he's going to get drafted real high.
Yeah, Adam Anderson was definitely a guy I thought about for this one. I'm going to go back to a guy that we talked about already, and that is Grayson McCall. I love this kid, man. We did a video on potential QB3s already. He's being slept on for me right now at like QB5. He plays in the Sun Belt, plays in a triple option offense. Coastal Carolina actually has the worst schedule in the country, the easiest schedule in the country. So it's not like he's going against any good teams. So
not making a good case right now, Max.
Not making
a good case.
But he is one of the best quarterbacks and one of the best passers in the country. I think he can have a Zach Wilson-esque rise this year. Maybe not to 2 overall, but I wouldn't be shocked if this guy's a first-round quarterback by the end of the year. Let's go over to the other side of this one. So who is being overrated and who's going to fall down draft boards the most, Tate?
I think the easy answer is Christian Harris. He seems to be an early favorite, at least in the draft community, about somebody who's going to kind of be the Dylan Moses, and Alabama linebacker, not to Control-C, Control-V. I think the real answer, maybe the honest answer for myself, is going to be like a couple Ohio State guys. I know that's maybe backwards for me to say, but like Thayer Munford, I like right now, but like could also be very bad. Tyreek Smith, Zach Harrison, a lot of people like Seven Banks. Frankly, I don't know why. So yeah, I think the easy answer is Christian Harris, but I think maybe the honest answer is like the Ohio State guys that you see.
Dude, Thayer Munford's gonna play guard this year. Do you see that?
Yeah. That's not good.
Might be a better fit for one. We'll see.
Yeah, it probably will.
I'm going with guys here that are not like I feel like it's kind of obvious when we've had discussions, at least amongst ourselves, but like people might not like this. I think Keaton Slovis, when all is said and done, might not end up getting drafted all that high. Like he might be the Jake Fromm of this draft, where people are like first round prospect and he ends up being like a fifth rounder who maybe gets a backup chance. I don't know. I see the intrigue. I see he's had some good games. But I could also see very well with being on a Pac-12 team playing against Pac-12 opponents, things could go really poorly, when you play in that league, and just all those teams seem to just have bad seasons, whatever way it goes. And I could just see Keaton Slovis unraveling in ways that he did last year, making bad decisions. They go like 6-6 and it's just bad. And what do? You're not going to be a first-round pick if that happens. And I don't think USC is a team that is more likely to be contending for a CFB playoff bid than going 6-6, So, I don't love his first round chances.
Yeah, you guys actually, those are two that I was thinking of for sure. Christian Harris, definitely one of them. Keaton Slovis, another one. I'm going to go with Keaton Slovis' teammate, a guy that everyone has like the top 10 right now in their boards. Drake Jackson, the edge defender from USC. I have him as like a second round pick right now. His tools are ridiculous. So if this guy ends up having a great year, he might be a top 5, top 10 pick. But man, the consistency just isn't there. Like he has one play where you're like, wow, he might be edge 1 over Thibodeau. And then there's another play where like, dude, like he might not be worth taking in the day 2 range. Like the effort isn't there. He doesn't have great strength right now. I think Drake Jackson is getting very overrated. But again, if he gets more consistency, he's got the tools to be really good. But man, I just haven't seen that consistency yet. So let's go to the NFL real quick. We got a couple NFL ones here. First off, the big one, obviously, Super Bowl pick. Nick, what do you think? Who was going to win the Super Bowl and over who?
God. All right, you ready for the most boring part of the video? So I think the Buccaneers are going to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I don't think any team is good enough to keep up with the Chiefs on offense in the AFC. And then Tampa is just in their own world in terms of roster. And now they have all this depth at important positions. So if they have injuries, it doesn't matter. And by the time these two teams get to the Super Bowl again, it'll be the same thing where the Chiefs, very talented roster, both teams are probably going to have some injuries. Tampa's got more depth. They'll take advantage of where Kansas City's injured and they don't have depth, and the Bucs will beat them again. And I don't know. That's just I don't see. I like the Niners, but is Trey Lance going to really get going this year? I think they need to beat the Bucs, and then I don't think the Packers are going to work out. And in the end, just with all the things they've had happen in the AFC, I really like the Chargers, but I don't think Herbert's ready. And then the Browns are interesting, but I got to see it to believe it. I can't I can't pick them to beat the Chiefs yet.
Yeah, you will not hear me say in this video the Cleveland Browns are going to the Super Bowl because I'm still working on the fact that we're a good football team, let alone that far off lofty goal. Again, Chiefs Bucks probably the right answer, but I'm going Bills Bucks just to shake it up. Bills pull off a nice upset in the conference championship game. Buccaneers, keep them healthy. They do have good depth now. Nick points out. So I don't really foresee anybody beating them in the NFC at least this year. So yeah, I'm going Bills Bucks just to not do Chiefs Bucks.
Who's going to win? You have the Bucks winning?
Yeah, I'd go Bucks in that game. I'd back them.
Okay. All right. So I also think Chiefs Bucks is the answer I would have gone with here. I try to make it a little different. So Tate said Bills Bucks. I'm going to go the opposite way. So I think the Chiefs will make it and they'll win the Super Bowl, but it'll be over the Packers. I just think the storyline would be so cool if Aaron Rodgers and his last year in Green Bay, whatever. I do think the Packers are the second best team in the NFC right now. But yeah, like you guys said, I think Chiefs Bucks is should be the heavy favorite because man, it's gonna happen probably. I doubt we see a rematch
than I've ever been for one Super Bowl matchup before season's gonna start.
It's just so clearly the two best teams. It's just far and away the two best teams. So we'll see. So let's get kind of back to what we do as a draft. So let's go to offensive rookie of the year. Tate, who's gonna win offensive rookie of the year?
This is a tough one. I have two guys written down for offense and defense, and I still haven't made up my mind talking right now. I like Zach Wilson from what I've seen. He looks amazing. But the Jets, I think, are going to be bad. So I'm going to go Kyle Pitts. Haven't seen him in preseason, getting rested. Very PJ take here, Zach Wilson or Kyle Pitts for O'Roy. But yeah, I'm going Kyle Pitts, final answer.
I'll make some people happy in this segment. I think Zach Wilson is going to have a fantastic year. I think he's looked the best. I think in terms of the film breakdown, best QB so far in preseason that I've seen out of the rookies. And I think the situation is perfectly set up. I think Corey Davis is about to pop off. We talked about on our own when we had discussions. Corey Davis struggling his time with Mike Mularkey and the Titans. I think Marcus Mariota maybe got ruined by him as well. We'll see if that we'll see how that develops in the future. But Corey Davis is really hitting his stride as a player. Elijah Moore is interesting. I think the O-line is actually going to be good this year. I think it's a very solid unit. The offense is very smart. Mike LaFleur is a good offensive coordinator. Robert Saleh is going to dictate the pace of that team. They're going to make them show up and be disciplined. And I think that defense, despite some injuries, some tragic injuries like to Carl Lawson, will at least be better than it was last year on paper. And I don't know that they win a ton of games. I think they're a 6 or 7 win team, but I think it's clear that Zach Wilson helps them stay in games, and because of that, I think he ends up being the offensive rookie of the year by the end of the season.
Yeah, Nick, I completely agree with you. Zach Wilson was my pick too. I don't think he's been the most impressive rookie quarterback. I think Mac Jones probably takes that. But, man, you look at it, Lawrence is going to have a tough year this year. I think we can all see that. Fields and Lance straight up are not going to play enough. I really do think Kyle Shanahan and Matt Nagy are going to wait a little bit before they start. And even with that, man, I've liked Fields. You don't think Fields should play? You agree with Mike Renner?
Bad.
Yeah, it could. Man, the all-line is so bad. It's just a bad combination in Chicago right now, but they're not going to play enough. And then Mac, I don't think has a supporting cast. I think the receiving core in New England is still awful. And Mac Jones we saw it. That was a big question coming out. I was like, man, you got Devontae Smith and all these great receivers. How is he without him? We're going to see this year, man, because that New England receiving core is pretty terrible. So we'll see just how good Mac Jones is. And Zach Wilson, you guys mentioned it just looks so good this preseason. And he's got not only that, so he's looked great, which is one part. He has the support around him. I love the coaching staff in New York. Corey Davis, they're a good receiving core. A getting better O-line is still not there yet. But, man, I like Zach Wilson a lot for Offensive Rookie of the Year, and he's my pick, I think, for that one. So let's go to defensive rookie of the year. Nick, who do you got for this one?
Making more people happy. I think Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is going to have just a fantastic season. I think it's going to be Darius Leonard-esque in his rookie year. I think he's just showing the ability early to do a little bit of everything, and the instincts are just unlike any other linebacker we've seen come into college at his size and his movement ability. And I think it clicks day one. I think he's what the future of the NFL looks like in the middle of the field and in the slot, and I think he's going to be a boost to that Browns defense and will be a fun one to break down week after week.
I agree, Nick. Great job. The other guy I had written down as my second choice was Micah. I think he's going to play a lot and be an impact player for that Cowboys defense. But Jock has been really good. For those who haven't watched any Browns preseason games, he's had a lot of snaps, has looked really, really good, has looked good at all camp. And yeah, I fully expect him to be really, really good all year and then win Defensive Rookie of the Year at the end of the year. Thank you for the second round pick. I appreciate it.
How did he fall to this?
Dude, and no offense, Nick, but Jamin Davis going over Jock was just something that I was shocked by. That shoulder thing, man, that shoulder was an issue, but I guess not. We'll see. But man, Jock has looked great. I'm actually going to go with the guy that you said, Tate, and that is Micah Parsons. He has looked ridiculous this year. I've watched actually a lot of Cowboys preseason. He is flying around the field. Like you didn't notice his speed a lot at Penn State because you're like, oh, you're going up against not great talent when they played out of conference games, but Micah Parsons, man, he runs a legit 4.3. Like I was kind of hesitant before, but like now you see that and you're like, man, that 4.35 seems pretty legit. And he's running across the field. Also, an important thing to note, I don't know if he'll be the best defensive rookie this year, but man, he's going to put up a lot of tackles. And you know how the defensive rookie of the year voters love tackles. He's going to have a lot of tackles this year. His stats are going to be absurd in general. He's going to be a good pass rusher too, I think. He's looked better in coverage too. I think he'll run away with defensive rookie of the year. Kind of a somber one here. There's been a few rookies that haven't looked great so far and not a lot of great things we've heard. So, Nick, who is your pick for the most disappointing rookie this season?
So for disappointing rookie, there's a few that have really stood out early on that I think are kind of obvious. So I was trying to find someone kind of down the list who I think no one's really talking about. And for me right now, it's Christian Darrisaw, just because he hasn't even shown up and played yet. And I was really excited for him to be the starting left tackle for the Vikings. Injury has been tough. They want him to start day one, but I just think at this rate, a position that doesn't immediately start out normally playing well, you need to have some development. It's going to be tough if they just stick him in and play left tackle, in the first week of the season without any training camp. And I'm very worried about it as a guy who had him as tackle 2 on my board.
I'm probably going to just list off the most obvious one, Jamar Chase. Everything out of Bengals camp. We're kind of dogging on the Bengals in this video, but folks, the news out of Bengals camp has been pretty bad on a lot of fronts, and Jamar Chase has not helped that. Hasn't looked very good. Obviously, he opted out of the 2020 season, so he hasn't really played football and is getting back into team drills and all that stuff. So hopefully, he turns around, turns that corner, and is the player that we all thought he was. We all thought he was wide receiver 1 over Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle. But he hasn't looked great in camp, which is a real shame. But yeah, he's my answer right now.
So I have a different answer. One guy I just want to throw out there, Kadarius Toney, man. All the stuff that is coming out of that Giants camp has been terrible.
Yep.
Like it doesn't look good. I'm going to go with a more well-known prospect though, and I think the Jamar Chase thing, I was considering him. I think that's the case of the yips right now. I think that's gonna get fixed and he'll be okay down the road. One guy I'm actually kind of worried about, at least for this year, is Penei Sewell, because he's played right tackle for the Lions. And he does not look comfortable there at all. And Jeff Schwartz, who's one of the best at evaluating O-line talent, says, yeah, man, when you switch positions, you need at least 3 months to get comfortable at that position. Penei does not look comfortable. The depth in his pass sets is crazy right now. I think it's going to take a little bit. And I think, you're drafting him to be a tackle. Taylor Decker there, I wish he could have played left tackle, but he's got to play right tackle this year. Penei Sewell could have a rough go of things to begin. I still think he'd be an excellent tackle in the NFL, but man, at right tackle this year, it could be a little rough in Detroit. So finally, let's go over to college football. Got a couple college football predictions right now. Tate, give me your playoff with your national championship pick for college football this year.
My prediction for the 4-team college football playoff. Yes, 4 teams. I like 4 teams. That is my first official on-camera stance of the college football playoffs. 4 teams is the right number. Alabama, the Ohio State, Clemson, and then I like Oklahoma over Georgia. So those 4.
Okay.
Pretty bland, but it's what the college football playoff is.
For 12 teams, I think it's good for recruiting purposes, but that's a whole other discussion. Maybe we'll talk about sometime on a podcast. But I'm going to go with 3 of the same teams: Oklahoma, Clemson, Ohio State. I think are all trying to do well. I think Georgia gets in over Alabama. I think on paper I like them a little bit better. Alabama's the one team out of all the guys you mentioned. I guess Ohio State, but I think I like what they've been doing a little bit more than Bama lately. Just in terms of setting up for this year. Bama's losing a lot of NFL talent the past 2 years, and I just think they're young. Bryce Young hasn't played yet. I could be very wrong about this, but I just think this is the year. I say this every year. This is the year for Georgia to finally make it work. I have an itch about it. Normally, I'm the guy who doesn't pick Georgia. Normally, I'm like, yeah, it's going to be Bama. But I just feel like this is the year that it happens.
Yeah, I gonna have to agree with Tate on this one. Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma. Like those are the clear 4, and the playoff gets boring. But man, those are the 4 best teams in college football. I think Georgia.
That's the issue before, Tate.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Georgia has an argument too. I think Georgia is in that top 5 very clearly. I think it's a very clear top 5 this year. But I think those are the 4 teams right now. So Tate, give me your national championship pick though. Who's winning over who?
I hadn't actually thought about this. Yeah, we'll go Ohio State over Clemson. Why not?
Quinn Ewers or CJ Stroud leading the national championship?
Don't care as long as we have the trophy.
Oh, I care. Get that bullet in there, baby. I cannot wait.
I'm gonna go with Oklahoma over Ohio State. I'm gonna run it back with Oklahoma prediction from last year. This time they get it done.
I actually agree with Nick. I got Oklahoma over Clemson this year. I think Oklahoma, man, that team is stacked. Like, I don't know. They've always let me down in the playoffs so far, but we'll see. Like, Spencer Rattler's the best quarterback in the country. You got Marvin Mims, a good defense finally, which has been their Achilles heel for so long. I think Oklahoma, this is the year for them, man. And if they don't do it this year, I don't know when. So let's go over real quick. Last one. Who's going to win the Heisman this year? Nick, start us off.
Spencer Rattler.
We're all saying.
Can I just throw out a name that I think is interesting? Like, sure. If Georgia's actually going to make the playoff, like my prediction, I think one of their players has to be in the running, and I think their running game could be interesting. So like Azamir White or the other Cook brother, I don't even remember his name. Like one of them could be in the running. I don't know. Like those are just some names, I guess. But yeah, probably Spencer Rattler.
PJ, hope you're watching after my Zach Wilson, Kyle Pitts take. But Malik Willis is going to win the Heisman this year. Ooh. That is my formal prediction on camera. Yeah, it's going to get fun. It's going to be fun to watch him play football this year.
See him in person here at Syracuse.
That's true. We got to get down there. We have to get down there for that game. Man, if Malik Willis wins a Heisman, man, he might be QB1, as Donnie said in our video. Like, there might be discussions. There might be discussions. I got Spencer Rattler, too. I think he's just the best pick right now. I like DJ Uiagalelei. I think is another good pick. I think Clemson will have a good year this year. Just don't know if they're going to dominate a lot of teams. So I just don't know if he's going to play in enough. Yeah, it's the ACC. So we'll see. But listen, those were our predictions for everything college football, NFL, and NFL draft. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment what do you think about predictions. Also comment what video you want us to do next. We got a big board coming out pretty soon. We've been grinding on those big boards, trying to get out of top 50 before the season starts. So that's coming soon. Follow our Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at BoomerBustDraft, or leave a review in our podcast. Check out the website below. Hit our merch store. Of course, go to manscaped.com. Use the promo code BoomerBust for 20% off and free shipping. So for Tate Sigworth and Nick Merriam, I'm Max Chadwick. Have a great night.